Stop bowing when your spirit wants to stand. Stop smiling when your soul says enough. Your worth is not in their comfort. Speak your truth without trembling. Walk in your own shoes, not the ones they hand you. The world does not need a nice girl. It needs you. Nice is sugar on the tongue, a quick smile even when your spirit is weary. Nice often bends under the weight of expectation, offering agreement when silence or disagreement would be more honest. Nice can be a costume stitched together from politeness, fear of conflict, and the desperate wish to be liked. Nice says yes when the heart says no, and in doing so, it slowly erases the edges of your own identity. Kind, however, is different. Kindness is rooted in truth. It is a gift that carries integrity, even if it is not wrapped in softness. Kindness does not exist to make everyone comfortable. It exists to make things better, and sometimes better comes dressed in honesty, firmness, or boundaries. A kind person may refuse you, but they will do it without cruelty. A kind person may tell you something you do not want to hear because they value your growth more than your temporary comfort. When you are nice, you often surrender your power. You trade your voice for the appearance of harmony. You become the one who smooths over awkward silences, who laughs at unfunny jokes, who carries the extra weight so no one else has to strain. It looks noble, but underneath it can be hollow. Niceness can be a quiet prison where the bars are made from your own reluctance to disrupt. You keep yourself small so no one else feels threatened. Kindness, on the other hand, requires courage. To be kind, you must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to risk being disliked. True kindness asks that you tell the truth even when your voice shakes. It asks you to honor your own needs while still honoring the dignity of others. It is not about being agreeable, it is about being real. The nice girl learns early that smiles open doors. She learns that softness gets rewarded and that quiet compliance earns approval. But over time, she notices a cost. Her own dreams get postponed so others can chase theirs. Her yes becomes automatic, even when her soul aches to say no. And when she is finally alone, she wonders if anyone truly knows her at all, or if they only know the pleasant mask she has worn for so long. Kindness does not demand that mask. Kindness allows you to stand tall, to speak plainly, to say, "This is who I am," without apology. It teaches you that disagreement is not unloving, that setting limits is not selfish, and that honesty is a greater service than endless accommodation. Being nice can make you liked. Being kind can make you respected. Niceness often seeks peace at any cost. Kindness seeks truth, even if it costs peace in the moment. Niceness tiptoes around discomfort. Kindness knows discomfort is sometimes the only path to growth. We live in a world that often praises nice because it is easy to control. Nice will not rock the boat. Nice will not speak against injustice if it means breaking the fragile shell of civility. But kindness is powerful. Kindness will challenge unfairness, even if it means raising its voice. Kindness will refuse to laugh at cruelty disguised as humor. Kindness will say, "That's not right," even when everyone else stays silent. Kindness is not passive. It takes action. It steps in when someone is being treated poorly. It tells the truth even when it would be easier to nod and pretend. It protects the vulnerable without asking for applause. The difference is simple but profound. Niceness seeks to be liked. Kindness seeks to love well. Love is not always gentle in appearance. Sometimes love is fierce. Sometimes love is the friend who tells you your behavior is hurting others. Sometimes love is the parent who says no when you want yes. If you have spent years being nice, you may feel resistance rising in you at the thought of stepping away from it. You may fear that people will leave you, misunderstand you, or call you selfish, and they might. But those who truly value you will remain, and your relationships will be deeper for it. When you choose kindness over niceness, you begin to live without the heavy cloak of performance. You learn to speak from your center instead of your fear. You recognize that your worth is not tied to keeping everyone happy. You trust that the people who belong in your life will honor your truth. You stop bowing when your spirit wants to stand. You stop smiling when your soul says enough. You stop letting nice be the leash that keeps you small, and you step into the space where kindness lives, where love and truth walk together unafraid. They are the invisible lines you draw to protect your time, your energy, and your spirit. They are not walls to keep people out, but gates that determine who and what is allowed to come in. A boundary says, I value myself enough to decide how I will be treated. It is a declaration that your well-being is not negotiable. Without boundaries, life becomes an open field where anyone can walk in, take what they want, and leave footprints on your heart. You find yourself saying yes when you mean no, answering calls in the middle of the night, taking on burdens that aren't yours to carry. At first, you may think it's generosity. You may tell yourself you're just being helpful, just being kind. But slowly, you begin to feel drained, unappreciated, and invisible. Your kindness begins to taste like resentment because you have given so much without replenishment. Boundaries are the antidote to that slow erosion of self. They are not selfish, they are essential. A tree does not apologize for the strength of its trunk or the reach of its roots. It knows that without a firm foundation, it cannot stand tall or give shade. You are the same. You cannot pour endlessly into others without first protecting the source from which you give. To set a boundary is to tell the truth. This is okay with me. This is not. It is to be clear about what behaviors you will accept, what demands you will meet, and what spaces are sacred. It is a way of teaching others how to treat you, not with lectures or arguments, but through consistent action. When you say no and follow through, when you step away instead of tolerating disrespect, you are not being harsh. You are being whole. Boundaries also bring clarity to your relationships. Without them, you may attract those who take advantage of your openness, people who see your lack of limits as an opportunity to use you. But with them, you filter your connections. Those who respect your boundaries will respect you. Those who resent them reveal themselves. Boundaries are a form of truth-telling, and truth always shows who belongs in your life and who does not. Some people struggle to set boundaries because they fear rejection. They worry that saying no will make them unlovable. But in reality, boundaries make love stronger. Without them, you offer a watered-down version of yourself, pleasing, accommodating, but not authentic. With boundaries, you show up as your full self, unafraid to be honest. Real connection cannot exist without that honesty. When you first begin to enforce boundaries, some may push back. People accustomed to your constant yes may not understand your no. They may call you distant, difficult, or selfish. But remember, those who benefit from your lack of boundaries are the ones most threatened by them. This is not a sign to stop, it is proof that the boundaries are working. A boundary is also a gift to others. It teaches them accountability. It lets them know where they stand. It allows interactions to be rooted in respect instead of assumption. Just as you do not want to be treated carelessly, others deserve to know how not to treat you. Boundaries create mutual safety. They remove the guesswork and the quiet resentments that build when people overstep without realizing it. They also give you back your time and energy for what matters most. Without boundaries, you can spend years living on other people's schedules, answering every demand as if it were urgent. With boundaries, you learn to pause and ask, is this mine to carry? Often the answer will be no. And in that no, you will find the space to nurture your own goals, your own peace, your own joy. There is a quiet strength in someone who lives with boundaries. They are not closed off. They are present and intentional. They know they cannot be everything to everyone, so they choose to be fully themselves for the people and purposes that matter. They have learned that self-respect is not built with words alone. It is built with choices, with actions, with the daily practice of honoring what they need. Boundaries are not a barrier to love. They are the frame that holds love steady. They ensure that when you give, it is by choice and not by pressure. They protect your heart from being emptied by the constant pull of others' demands. They make space for mutual respect, for balanced relationships, and for the kind of life where your worth is never in question, because you have already claimed it. It is not a pretty ornament to hang on polite conversations or a gentle hum to fill the silence. It is not meant to be trimmed down, softened, or shaped to please those who are more comfortable with your quiet than your truth. Your voice is power. It is the vessel for your thoughts, your convictions, your dreams, and your boundaries. To treat it as decoration is to shrink the very essence of who you are. Too many people learn early that their voice is only welcome when it's agreeable, when it soothes rather than stirs. They learn to speak in ways that do not disrupt, that do not challenge, that do not cause discomfort. But a voice that never risks disruption is a voice that never fully lives. Your words are not here to simply decorate the air. They are here to shape it. When you silence yourself for too long, something inside you begins to dim. You nod when you want to question. You laugh when you want to object. You agree when your heart burns with dissent. And little by little, you start to believe that your perspective doesn't matter, that your truth is too heavy, too messy, too inconvenient to be heard. But your silence does not protect you. It imprisons you. Your voice was given to you for a reason. It is the instrument through which you set boundaries, advocate for justice, express love, and create change. A decoration sits still, admired from a distance. A voice moves, reaches, and connects. It can comfort the weary, rally the broken, or stop a harmful act in its tracks. It can tell your own story before someone else tells it wrong. Using your voice does not always mean speaking loudly. Sometimes it means speaking steadily, even when fear trembles in your chest. Sometimes it means saying no when you are expected to say yes. Sometimes it means asking a question that others are too afraid to ask. The strength of your voice is not in its volume, but in its truth. There will be those who try to convince you to keep it soft, to keep it agreeable, to keep it harmless. They may say you're overreacting, too emotional, too direct, but what they really mean is that your truth disrupts their comfort. Remember this, you are not here to decorate someone else's comfort zone. You are here to live in your own truth. Your voice is also not for everyone's approval. If you speak only to be liked, your words will bend to fit the shape of other people's expectations. You will trade honesty for applause, authenticity for acceptance. And though they may clap for you, you will know deep down you have abandoned your own song. The courage to use your voice often grows in the moments when it feels hardest. Speaking up when something is unfair, admitting when you are hurt, asking for what you need without apology. Each time you do this, you strengthen the bridge between who you are inside and how you show up in the world. That alignment is freedom. Your voice is not decoration because your life is not a display. It is a living, breathing force. And just as your body needs movement to stay strong, your voice needs use to stay alive. When you speak your truth, you give others permission to do the same. You create ripples that travel farther than you will ever see. Even in small moments, your voice matters. It matters when you correct someone who mispronounces your name. It matters when you advocate for yourself in the workplace. It matters when you say, "That joke isn't funny." These moments may seem small, but they are bricks in the foundation of your self-respect. Do not wait for the perfect time to speak. There rarely is one. Do not wait until you feel completely fearless. You may be waiting forever. Speak anyway. Use your voice even when it shakes, because a trembling truth is still stronger than a comfortable silence. Your voice is not an accessory to your life. It is part of your life force. It carries the weight of your experiences, the fire of your convictions, and the beauty of your dreams. To hide it away is to hide yourself. Let it be heard, not to decorate, not to please, but to declare, to defend, to define who you are in a world that will always try to do it for you. No matter how much you feed it, it will always come back for more. You can give it your time, your energy, your accomplishments, your beauty, your charm, and still it will sit there, jaws open, waiting for the next offering. It is never satisfied because it was never meant to be fed in the first place. It was meant to be managed. The search for approval often begins quietly. You get praised for being polite, for getting good grades, for doing what's expected without complaint. You learn the warm glow that comes when someone says, "I'm proud of you," or "You're such a good person." Slowly, without realizing it, you start shaping yourself to keep that glow alive. You smile more, you agree more, you hide the parts of yourself that might invite criticism. You learn the art of becoming what others want to see. But the more you do it, the more you realize the rules keep changing. What pleased one person displeases another. What earned praise yesterday earns indifference today. And so you keep running faster, harder, trying to catch the ever-moving target of other people's approval. The beast grows stronger because it thrives on your constant effort, your constant hunger to be seen as enough in someone else's eyes. Approval is dangerous because it can masquerade as love. It can feel like belonging, like affirmation, like safety. But unlike love, approval is conditional. It is given when you meet the terms and withdrawn when you do not. And in its absence, you may feel empty, restless, unworthy. That emptiness can drive you to chase it harder, to twist yourself into new shapes, to perform a version of yourself that earns applause but feels nothing like the truth. The trap is that approval is always external. It depends on the moods, opinions, and biases of others, things you cannot control. One person may think you're brilliant, another may think you're foolish, one may find you beautiful, another may not notice you at all. If your sense of worth rises and falls on those shifting judgments, you will never find solid ground. The way to break free from the hungry beast is not to starve yourself of connection. It is to nourish yourself from the inside. Self-respect is the food that approval cannot touch. When you act according to your values instead of someone else's expectations, you take back your power. When you do what is right for you, even if it earns disapproval, you remind yourself that your worth was never meant to be handed out like a prize. Letting go of approval means accepting that you will disappoint people. You will say no when they want yes. You will stand up when they want you to sit down. Some will call you difficult, selfish, even unkind. But the truth is, the people who truly care about you will not withdraw their love because you set boundaries or spoke your truth. Those who walk away were only ever there for the performance, not the person. The approval you actually need is your own. The question is not, do they like me? But do I like who I am when I'm with them? Not did I please them, but did I stay true to myself? This shift may feel small, but it is the difference between living as a reflection of other people's desires and living as the source of your own light. Approval will still try to tempt you. It will show up in the glance of admiration, the social media like, the compliment that makes you stand taller. There is nothing wrong with enjoying these moments. They are human and natural. But the danger comes when they become the compass instead of the passing breeze. Admiration feels good, but it is not direction. When you stop feeding the beast, something unexpected happens. It loses its power. It may still growl now and then, but you will recognize it for what it is, an echo of old conditioning, not a command you must obey. And as it grows quieter, you will hear your own voice more clearly. That voice is the one that will guide you to the life you were meant to live, one that is not built on applause, but on authenticity. The beast of approval will never be full, but you can stop being its keeper. You can choose instead to feed the things that grow your soul: self-trust, courage, truth. And in doing so, you will no longer be a performer waiting for someone else's standing ovation. You will be the author of your own applause, and that sound will be enough. You are not born to nod along while the world writes your story in someone else's ink. You are not here to smooth over the rough edges of truth so that no one feels uncomfortable. Your purpose is not to keep the peace at the cost of your own spirit. Agreeableness may win you polite smiles and temporary approval, but it can also cost you your voice, your boundaries, and the very core of who you are. Being agreeable is not the same as being kind. Kindness has courage. It will tell a hard truth because it cares enough to be honest. It will refuse when refusal is necessary. Kindness can stand alone in a room full of nodding heads and say, "I see it differently." Agreeableness, on the other hand, is too often about avoiding friction. It's about making sure everyone feels good, even if it means you don't. You are not here to be a mirror reflecting what others want to see. You are here to be a window, showing the world something new, something real, something uniquely yours. That means there will be times when you must disagree, when you must speak up, when you must interrupt the chorus of yes with your own steady no. Some will resist this. People who benefit from your constant compliance may call you difficult, rebellious, or ungrateful. They may accuse you of causing trouble when in truth you are simply refusing to pretend anymore. Do not mistake their discomfort for evidence that you are wrong. Often their discomfort is proof that you are finally standing in your truth. Disagreeing is not about conflict for conflict's sake. It is about honoring your values. It is about refusing to stay silent in the face of injustice, even if silence would make you more likable. It is about protecting your time, your energy, and your dignity, even when it disappoints others. You are not responsible for other people's approval. You are responsible for your own integrity. Agreeableness can become a prison if you let it. It traps you in the role of the peacemaker, the pleaser, the one who always bends so no one else has to break. But bending too much leaves you brittle. You cannot live a full life if you are always folding yourself to fit the shape of someone else's comfort. To break free, you must learn to hold your ground even when the air feels heavy with tension. You must learn that disagreement does not have to mean disrespect. You can speak firmly without cruelty. You can challenge someone's opinion without attacking their humanity. And sometimes you must be willing to walk away from the table entirely if staying there requires you to betray yourself. Living without the need to be agreeable is liberating. You discover that your worth is not tied to how many people smile at you, but to how deeply you can look yourself in the eye at the end of the day. You realize that the world does not need another polite echo. It needs the sound of your unfiltered voice. There will still be times when you choose agreement, not because you are afraid to disagree, but because you genuinely align with what's being said or done. The difference is that now it's a choice, not a default setting. You agree when it feels true, and you disagree when it does not, without apology. You are not here to be agreeable, you are here to be alive. And life, real life, will sometimes mean rocking the boat, standing alone, or walking away. But it will also mean standing firmly in the knowledge that your voice matters, your truth matters, and your existence is not meant to be a backdrop for someone else's comfort. It is meant to be lived in full color with all the clarity, courage, and conviction you can bring. Not in whispers, not in secret, not in ways that beg for permission. Love yourself in a way that the world cannot ignore. Love yourself so fully that your presence carries the proof. This is not arrogance. It is the simple act of reclaiming what should have never been questioned: your worth. For too long, many are taught that self-love must be quiet, modest, almost invisible. You're told to put others first, to downplay your strengths, to shrink so no one feels overshadowed. But that is not love, that is self-erasure. Loving yourself loudly means rejecting the idea that you must apologize for existing in your fullness. It means living in a way that honors every part of you, even the parts others may not understand or approve of. Loving yourself loudly begins in the mind. It is the choice to speak to yourself with the same kindness you offer others. It is refusing to call yourself names in your own head, refusing to let your inner dialogue be harsher than the world already is. It is looking in the mirror and not cataloging your flaws, but acknowledging your wholeness. The words you feed yourself will become the foundation of your confidence, and from there, your love will begin to speak without hesitation. It also shows in the way you treat your body. To love yourself loudly is to rest when you are tired without guilt. It is to nourish yourself with what fuels you, and to move your body not out of punishment, but out of joy. It is wearing clothes that make you feel alive rather than acceptable, taking up space rather than folding yourself small. This kind of love will also affect your boundaries. When you love yourself loudly, you will not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or neglect. You will not explain your worth to those determined not to see it. Instead, you will step away from people, places, and patterns that require you to shrink in order to belong. You will not lower your voice to fit into rooms that cannot hold your truth. Some will not like this. People who are comfortable with the version of you that served their needs may resist the version that serves your own. They may call you selfish, difficult, or full of yourself. But loving yourself loudly means understanding that their discomfort is not your problem to solve. Your job is not to be small enough to be loved by everyone. It is to be whole enough to be loved by the right ones. Loving yourself loudly also means celebrating yourself openly. It is allowing yourself to feel proud when you achieve something instead of brushing it off. It is speaking up about your talents and contributions without downplaying them to seem humble. It is saying, "I did this," and letting that truth stand without apology. It is not just about confidence, it's about joy. When you love yourself loudly, you give yourself permission to pursue what makes you feel alive. You try new things without fear of looking foolish. You laugh loudly without checking who's watching. You dance even when no one else is on the floor. This joy becomes contagious, not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because it is real. And perhaps most importantly, loving yourself loudly teaches others how to love you. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If you speak to yourself with respect, others will learn they must do the same. If you show that you value your time, others will think twice before wasting it. If you show that your dreams matter, others will understand they cannot dismiss them without consequence. This kind of love takes courage. It means choosing yourself even when it's easier to blend in. It means standing tall even when the wind of disapproval blows hard. But each time you do it, your voice grows stronger, your steps grow surer, and your life begins to take the shape of your truth, not the shape of someone else's expectations. Love yourself loudly because the world benefits from people who are whole. Your light will not dim someone else's. It will remind them they have their own. Your confidence will not steal theirs. It will show them what is possible. And your self-love will not isolate you. It will attract the kind of connections that are built on respect, authenticity, and mutual growth. Do not love yourself quietly in a way that goes unnoticed. Love yourself in a way that leaves no doubt, not in your mind, not in the minds of those around you, that you are here, that you matter, and that you refuse to live any other way. When you stop being the nice girl, when you choose kindness over compliance, when you guard your energy with boundaries, when you speak your truth without trimming it to please, when you stop feeding the beast of approval, when you refuse to live only to be agreeable, and when you love yourself loudly, you step into the life you were meant to live. A life not built on the fragile foundation of others' comfort, but on the solid ground of your own truth. This is not rebellion for its own sake. It is reclamation. It is the act of returning to yourself fully and unapologetically and declaring with every step, I am here, I am whole, and I am enough.